work.
Thank God.
I really did think though when you invited me to be on the podcast, it's gonna be like a Joe Rogan style studio.
Oh, really? You
Uh,
thought you thought you were getting like a chauffeur straight to some big like office, and you were gonna get a.
I thought I was like kind of big time. It was a formal invite. I thought, yeah, I finally made it.
you
Somebody wants
know,
to hear me talk more than my wife does.
I mean, maybe if we would have won that last regional, but
Yeah,
hey.
I couldn't hit the board, so
Hey, we were using your bags, right?
um yeah, I think what we're using the
We
Widow
started off.
R's,
No, no, we
the
started off with
Pecos,
we started off with my blue and white Vipers.
and you couldn't keep them on the board. I
Yeah, it
remember
was
that
too
like
fast.
vividly.
It was way too fast. And then we
Yeah.
switched. We were using Psychos.
Well, yeah, I don't know that we would have switched to Psychos if couldn't keep the R's on the board.
I think I remember throwing your Psychos though.
Maybe we did we win one game? Did we win a game? Yeah, we won one game.
We had to have won. I think we lost our first one.
I don't know. I remember a lot of hat throwing into the board.
That's my signature. You know me, man.
So it's a good time when there's hats being thrown around the court.
It's a good day when you can throw your hat and still win the game.
Yeah, that's true.
But you always got the backwards hat, so it's kind of inconvenient to like grab behind your head to throw the hat.
To be honest, I feel like a lot when I go to grab my hat, I'm like, you're 37. Stop it. Act your age.
Hey, I can throw my hat because I'm acting my age.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, if you
19
screamed
years different.
if you screamed at yourself and threw your hat and all that, then it'd kind of be like, "What's this guy doing, bro?"
Yeah.
It's
I
cornhole.
need to say things like agnabbit.
Dag nabbit. Oh
Shucks.
shucks.
That's it.
so
All right.
so you're not buying the new bags.
Oh, um, the new blue and baby blue
The
Widow R's
the really
Ultra will not.
really nice ones.
Yeah, they won't be in my arsenal. We were talking earlier. My 16 bag arsenal does not need another set of Widow R's.
Oh, they look so
Uh,
beautiful. Dark and light
they're
blue Widow R.
yeah, they're a
Hmm.
good bag. And I mean anything with that R side carpet is it's pretty much good on 80% of boards in conditions. So I get it, but I have three sets of bags that have that carpet on it. So I have to rationalize that decision as an adult, Easton.
So I'm going to be purchasing this bag because I'm very bad with money and I buy whatever I like. But actually, a good story yesterday. I threw this guy's third year anniversary Vipers, and the dots were worn down on them, and they threw exactly how my Viper R would. They were just a little bit too fast, which I thought was wild. I thought they'd be a lot faster than, or a lot stickier. I mean,
Do you think they are anyway like the old generation Vipers? Because I think they're much different.
you mean like, what do you mean by that?
I like the pre-stamp slash maybe first year stamped Vipers way more than my third generation, third anniversary Vipers. Like they're completely different. Even they might be the same fabrics, but something is.
They do. They feel. I mean, even when they release Viper R's in different colorways, they all feel different. Just like it's the same bag, same stamp, same. It's just a different color, and they throw differently. So
Yeah.
when I threw the 3rd-year anniversary yesterday, I feel like they did throw different than any other bag that they release, but it's like at the same time it still has that kind of Viper feel, if you know what I mean. Like
Right. Yeah.
it still
I
feels the
guess.
same, but
Right.
just a tad bit different.
Um, guess if this is supposed to be a um, the introduction to cornhole for some people, what would you say like makes up the attributes of a bag? Like what makes a bag do what it does, or what makes a bag good for certain things?
I feel like
What about the bag?
I feel like when I started out and I first bought the stamped bags, um, it was more about at first keeping it on the board and being able to throw it and it goes straight rather than kicking off and kind of either slipping out of my hand or like so the bag that I was holding needed to feel good for me. And at that time it was how full the bag was, if it was hitting the board and flying off the back, if it was too fast for me, if it was too slow, it would hit the board and stick and not go anywhere. And if it kicked a lot, but when I finally threw that Viper, I think it was the all blue Viper R's. It was kind of just like the
Yeah.
best of everything. It didn't kick. It was fast enough for me to slide it on the slow side. The fast side was fast enough to push bags, slow enough to not be uncontrollable. And I think that was like the best of both worlds of that bag. Whereas if I were to throw a BG or say a game changer, because I've owned game changers, I've owned non-stamp bags that are actually ACO stamp bags now, and they were carpet bags. I've owned BGs, I've owned Reynolds, locals. None of them actually like to me they don't compare to like a Viper R, how they feel in my hand and how they react to the board. I don't know what did you start with when you threw like started to
Yeah, I
throw
guess
ACL.
we started. Um, so yeah, so I started playing more cornhole. Went like right at COVID. We played probably 5 times a week just because like anything else to do. My first bags were like the $25 ones from Dick's. There was the suede on the back. There was, I think, there was actual corn in them. Um, I, at first steel bag, I got OX Reynolds, and like just anybody that goes from recreational like cookout type bags to any type of camp bag, it's a completely different feeling.
Mhm.
Because it's they're each about 16 ounces. All seem like they're super heavy compared to any of the other ones you would find from a sports store. Um, I liked those, to be honest, for a long time until I got game changers. And then the game changers, you know, brought it to a whole another level. I think the floppiness of game changers showed how easily it is for bags just to fall in the hole,
Mhm.
whether they're like actually going in or if they're just like clipping the side of it. Um, then I started my of relationship with Ultra Cornhole and got a set of orange Vipers. They weren't stamped, but those bags, it seemed like whoever was playing with them in the neighborhood, whether they were good or bad, it's just like if you were throwing the Viper R's, you're going to win the game.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the Vipers. Um, Now, yeah, I think with you on Ultra, I own, I think, almost every form of Ultra bag, with Viper R's being my top choice, followed probably closely by the Psycho X's. And the only difference, obviously, two different fabrics on both sides for those.
Mhm.
Both very floppy in your hand, very hole friendly, and it's like differences in speeds. I guess on this podcast, very controversial. I am I am so on if scenarios, Panthers. and frictions. Even though frictions aren't fully stamped, they do have a comp ACL stamp. Those two bags they're right up there for me with Ultra.
Mm-hmm.
Just so much harder to get. So then I just would revert to Ultra if I'm really looking for a new bag, probably.
No, I found a new bag that I liked more when I threw cats at first, but the more that I threw them, the more I just started to dislike them. Like they started out fine because it's a new bag, it feels different, feels good, but as I like threw them more, it feels like as if I have less control than I do with a Viper R. And I believe cats are made by local now.
I think 90% of cornhole scenario bags are actually made by local, and you can tell when you order them. They'll be like origin shipment label will start in Connecticut, and then when they actually ship from FedEx, they'll come from Ohio, and you're like, what is going on? Oh, cornhole scenario must have like a pirate ship that, and you just send the label
Mm-hmm.
local, which I don't think local makes a bad bag. It's not elite in any way. It's
No.
a good bag, but for $162 retail, I want my bag to be perfect. Like that's something you never worry about with Ultra.
Mm-hmm.
Ultra's bags are 100% perfect every single time. The closing stitch is as small as I have ever seen.
And
I love
surprisingly,
that.
there's nothing about bags breaking with that small seam as well.
No,
Like,
but it's beautiful. I
it,
sound crazy saying that, but it is beautiful.
it really I mean, I've grabbed bags before where I was like, wow, this stitching is like, it's fat. Like, there's a lot of
Yeah.
extra like fabric left out, which I don't know if that's just from throwing a Viper then grabbing someone else's bags, but it just feels like that stitch feels big on
Yeah.
many other bags.
If you had somebody that was, because Viper R, probably not somebody that's starting because it's probably hard to get. What would you recommend as like a very easily got bag under $100, like somebody starting cornhole tomorrow?
Um, hmm. Maybe I think are game changers under 100? I think
Yeah,
they're
they
like
are.
85, 75.
Yeah.
I would say game changers, honestly. Now, of course, I could say if you're starting out, buy a Viper R. You won't regret it. But you're starting out, you're not gonna want to drop $149 on a bag, $155.
And that's if you can get it right. Like if you get it on release, it's 125 or more, or more. I think I might even go like basic Widow at release because they're $95.
Oh
Um,
yeah, they are. I didn't even think about
or um, I mean, some of the Reynolds makes a decent bag. They're $60. You get them in 2 days.
that. They are nice bag. Like I
You
bought
know, like
fractures from Reynolds.
yeah, those are super soft, right? I
They
mean,
are
those are
nice.
nice.
Typhoons are a bit sticky from Reynolds, but other than that, I think the rest of their bags are pretty adjustable to a normal throw, like a person like me or you could throw.
Yeah, I would stay away. I would stay away from anything like a wizard for somebody new.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that if you Google it and somebody's like, "This is a great roll bag," turn around and go the other way.
Yeah.
Because if you don't throw a flat bag, once it hits the board, you don't know where it's going. And when you're first starting, I think it would be super um, frustrating or almost disheartening if you're like, "Oh, that one's going in," and then just like it's a hard slide to the left, and you're like, "What the heck just
Straight
happened?"
up hard kick to
Oh,
the left.
yeah. I would stay. Number one bag to stay away from is there. Wizards. BG Wizards. Stay away.
Stay away from beach unless you are just some really good starting off player and can roll bags straight out of the the club and backyard cornhole throwing. If you can roll in those, then I would say grab a wizard.
Yeah.
But if you can't roll a bag and you can't throw a flat bag, get out, go away.
Yeah. Eject cord. Pull it. Oh man.
I had a girl as my first partner yesterday up at Shawnee Ridge, and
Hmm?
she was your suede and regular side, like the two-sided Dick's
Yeah.
Sporting Goods bags right out of the totes, and
Ooh.
she she was like talking about the bags that I threw, and I had my Zuka full of all of those bags, and I had BGs, Reynolds, all that in there, and then I told her I said, why don't you throw these Viper R's? So we played our first game, and it started off slow. I mean, you're used to a light bag. It's not small ceilings, but it's not outside. You're not throwing outside where you have the entire sky to throw it as high as you can.
Right.
But once she adjusted after that first game, she was lights out. I thought it was
Really?
crazy. I thought it was so crazy. I
Uh,
mean, it's not like you're four bagging every time, but to go from a flat flip kind of throw to landing it flat and sliding into the hole twice every like 5 or 6 throws, I think that's pretty wild just because of the bag difference.
yeah.
Of course, they're not throwing on ACL boards where the hole is rounded over, the edges are rounded, it's slick, stuff like that. So I think like all those changes were like really good for her. So
Right. Well, that brings up a good point. It's funny. Um, I can't really think of many other sports that go to these tournaments and it's like you don't know who you're gonna play with. And I don't know, from based on my first ACL, I thought it was super cool that like you just get to meet so many people that way.
oh
And
yeah.
then in our first tour of my first ACL blind partner, and I didn't know who you were. I was talking with so my friend, my neighbor Dave, had known your dad and um, another gentleman, and I was like, I got Easton Morris, and, and I think so or your dad was like, that's for him right there. It's Easton right there. I'm like, and then he
that
was like, you guys will do good. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, sweet. And then you know, now we got here's barbershop jerseys and stuff together. So I think I always tell people like that are like, you're cornhole very seriously. And I'm like, well, there's not much like the community where I'll go to any cornhole tournament and I'll just you feel welcomed right away,
oh
whether
yeah.
you're good or bad.
I mean, there's no like. I don't want to say there's no bad parts of cornhole because you find there's one in a few people where they're like, oh, I got this partner. Oh, we're gonna suck. We're gonna lose. But most of the time they're like trying to help you. I remember my first tournament. Uh, I knew nobody. I was 17 at the time. I was playing in the junior singles, and I threw against a kid named Housey. They call him Housey. And I didn't know who he was. He looked like a kid just like me, didn't know what he was doing. So he was my first game. I got up there, threw one, I guess, on the side of the board, which I was like, now I'm like, oh, I threw it off to the side of the board and it's still on. But before I was like, okay, it's on the board. And he proceeded to throw, I think it was 9 in a row on me.
Ooh.
And I was like, who is this kid? Like, where did he come from? I've never even heard of him ever. And comes to find out that he is, I'd like to say, up and coming. He's very good. He just recently won at the Cleveland Regional last week, I believe.
Oh, wow.
But I've met
Won a
Housey.
regional though now.
Yeah, we have not. You and me have not.
Oh,
I don't think we took second.
I'm saying you have won at a regional. Yes, we both have won, but
You
yeah,
won with Dave. I won with
right.
Mike, and my the recent one was Leonard Greist. We went to the conference up at Penn State. I won with my dad.
It's gotta
And
feel good.
the
You
conference.
guys have such a funny dynamic. You two, you guys are like best of buds, and then also when somebody's not playing the right way, you don't mind telling each other. It's so funny.
What's really crazy is we are never when we are partners, we are never rude or we're not making fun of each other. But as soon as we are against each other, it's completely different. Or like right after we're done being partners, he'll be like, "Oh, if you didn't suck, we would have went farther in the
Yep.
tournament." But in the time being, he's like, "Forget about that bag, finish out. It's a whole new round. Like it's motivating." And then right after, it's just beat down.
Yeah, that's fine. I feel like, well, that's where I think having the right part, like blind draws are one thing, singles it's completely different. But having a partner that I was listening to another podcast and they were talking about a couple of the pros getting right partner, not just for throwing style, but like knowing how your partner handles maybe not having a good round, or maybe even like how your partner doesn't handle you have or handles you not having a good round, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's super important to know exactly what you need to say to somebody and they're struggling, because it's a slippery slope when everybody's throwing tens and then you just threw a two.
Yeah.
So
It's kind of like a golf caddy almost. It's you don't want to say the wrong thing to put the wrong thought into your partner, and if you do say the wrong thing, you're making them nervous or putting a little bit of pressure on them. Where it's like at the end of the day, it is just cornhole, and you don't want to stress out your partner just because it's a big tournament or whatever. But at the same time, you obviously want to win. You obviously want to take home a plaque or the money and stuff like that. But saying the right thing, even if you have a bad round or you're playing bad that day, saying the right thing to your partner could obviously make a difference. Everyone's beatable. Everyone makes mistakes. Even like pros, like I forget who did it, but they threw like 3 off the board when it was real close. And I think it was on ESPN too.
Yeah, I guess when they do those though, they know it's an anomaly. Like, oh, that doesn't happen. The last Friday I played down at Arden, my first 3 rounds of one of my round robins was 2-2-2, and I was like, I don't think I've thrown that since 2020. Like, what is going on right? No, I guess on the same level, same like thought. My first ACL tournament. Obviously, I got lucky paired with you, some like at least a very strong player that's been to one before. Like my nerves, I was throwing every single day leading up to that, and I was super confident when I got there. Those first couple games, gosh, I haven't had that type of feeling since like college soccer. I mean, it's been a long time that you feel like that, all eyes on you kind of thing. It's wild.
It's weird, man. And like when we were at that we had to beat them twice. Did we end up beating them once?
Yeah, we beat them once. Remember, we came back. I think it was like 21-19 on the first game. And then his wife got him a drink, and they proceeded to, I think, beat us, no kidding, like 21-3. And
I mean,
that has to be performance-enhancing drugs. Like, I don't know what that isn't.
I mean, not only were you nervous, I was so nervous. I've never at that time I've never had I've never won a plaque. I've won like third. I think I got third place one time, but we're at the final boards, final part of the tournament. We've
Live
beat them
stream.
once. We're on the live stream. We're at the video boards. Everyone's surrounding us. It's just the nerves just get to you so bad. And you could throw lights out all day. Once you get to that final board, I don't think anybody plays the same.
That's the thing though. But now, like now, we do that same scenario, and I we're very good opponents. Like if I lose to them, I'm fine with it because they both throw a really good bag. But I think I throw way better than I did just because my nerves will still be there, but I probably won't be. I think I was shaking like that.
I think I was too, honestly.
Yeah, I think it'll be every time you get to that point, it just gets easier and easier. But it's a lot of fun.
I have noticed that like my nerves have gone down from like I would say not even just like the first one. I would say the first like 3 or 4 placing tournaments. I was just oh my god, I don't want to mess up. I don't want to let my partner down. I don't want to throw one off the board. I don't want to give up this many points. And it's just like all in your head when you have 4 bags and a board and you're throwing the bags at the board. It comes down to you're just in your head, don't mess up. Don't mess up. Don't mess up. Don't mess up. And then finally you finally mess up and you're like, "Oh, there's nothing I can do now." And all that pressure goes away. You're holding such like a you're holding such a like a big bar over your head on you're trying to do so good for your partner and you're trying to do so good against this guy you're throwing against to where you get so nervous and so worked up to where you just don't throw good.
Yeah, no, I think that it has also like because it's a local scene. I mean, I'm not trying to toot your own horn here, Easton. So, but like, when you go to a tournament at PISA or Pittsburgh Indoor Sports Arena, if you're partnered against somebody, they're like, "Oh, Easton," like that. That's because that's how I don't have that same in like regionals, but I do know when I play at Arden, and there it's like, "Oh, Anthony, I don't want to throw against him," and that calms me down immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, okay. And I'm just like, I'm taking rent in their head already. Like, I'm not worried about it.
Oh yeah.
Granted, I still might not beat them, but it calms me down a lot more.
Just knowing who you're going against a little bit more than you did before, and it just makes you feel a lot. When we played in that blind draw, I didn't know more than half of them people up there. I didn't know who they were, how good they play. I mean, we were trying to pair each other against who we thought would do better against them, and we didn't know who they are. Now, even like looking at the people that are in these pictures here, I know both of them very well now. After that,
Yeah.
I even know the guy in the background, Jimmy Schaefer's back there throwing in the yellow jersey.
Oh, look at him go.
Like these people, I've made such a connection with a lot of these people that before I knew nobody and I was scared of to play. Like I was scared to play them.
That's the thing too. They're all super nice people, and you know, every game starts with a good luck. You know, hand bump, and at the end of every game, same thing. And it's just such a great sport. And I think many people are like, "You're very serious," and also my wife will always say, "Like, what's even hard about it?" Like, well, what's hard about golf?
Oh my.
There's a lot of things that are hard about it, but I think what's most difficult is the person you're playing against. Granted, the same caliber.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I'm playing somebody at a cookout, like yeah, cornhole's not that hard. If I'm playing somebody at a regional, throws a 9 points per round.
Cornhole's hard.
It's a hard game.
So, it is very hard.
It's just very perspective or relative to like the competition. Because yeah, if I go out and play golf with my friends, like it's not hard because I don't. It doesn't matter. I'm just in the ball. But I want to go play in a tournament. Yeah, it's gonna get hard.
Oh yeah. It's I I've gotten the same feeling from going to Whippeals in golf to place and qualify. The same feeling for even making it to the top 3 in cornhole, which is it's kind of crazy to think that a backyard game can make you so nervous and give you the same feeling as like a golf or football or baseball. Actually, in my opinion, maybe some other people don't think the same way, but it's weird that this sport can give you that kind of feeling.
It's a new age bowling. I mean, I still remember, being a kid and my dad like every Tuesday night going to bowling league. I mean, I just go on I go to cornhole leagues on Wednesdays. It's I'm sure Jackson, my son, will have the same memory eventually. Like, oh, dad just plays cornhole. Like that's a sport.
He's going to cornhole this
It is.
Tuesday.
I mean, you heard it here first, people. It's gonna be an Olympic sport eventually.
Oh, it will. I believe it will. I mean, they just added, what was that? Wii Sports to the Olympics, to esports or something.
Real.
I mean, we're in a new age here.
Gosh, that's crazy. I mean, there is that one sport. It's like that one. It's like bocce almost, but it's on like a hard court. One shot went viral where that guy threw that all real slow. It went all the way. It's like a odd shaped ball.
Is it like
I think that's an Olympic sport.
Up and down the ramp? Like it's like almost, it looks like a half pipe for like skateboarding kind of thing?
That's a ball. I'm not talking about arcades. I'm kidding.
No, like it's you're at the bottom looking like parallel with a half pipe, and he has like an oval shaped ball, and he rolls it up the side so it like ramps up and like left and right.
Maybe it's the same sport, but I didn't. The viral video I'm like referring to, it was on a flat portion of the court. So
we're thinking of two different things, I think.
I don't even know what that sport is called, but I know it's not cornhole. So
cornhole's all I know. Cornhole's all I know.
Yeah, that's just got the community really much welcome everybody. So nobody should be nervous to ever go to one of these tournaments or league nights or whatever.
That's the other thing. Playing in league nights or in like a blind draw Friday night tournament is way different than playing in a regional. Because you can go anywhere with these people like Cobra or Cornhole Kai, Speakeasy, Arden, Shawnee, Steel City, High Water, 724. You can go to all these different places, and it's different at every single place. You go down to Arden, you got your casual throwers. Cornhole Kai, you got your mid to casual, like some of them are advanced players, some of them are competitive. Speakeasy, you got crazy throwers, your advanced players. I think they have 2 or 3 pros now. They got Chucky.
Yeah, I just saw they just signed them. A couple weeks ago, I think it was on Facebook. That's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
I don't know. I went there when I was there in 2020. It was my first like tournament, and I roll up and I'm like, so familiar. And his bag was like cutting board straight, cutting board flat every time. I'm like, who is? And lo and behold, it's Trey Birchfield. And like in that moment, he was the #1 player in the world. And I'm like, what is he doing? And then it's like, you have to like almost pinch yourself. You're like, type of sport. And I go and play. Like, I'm not going to play DB on Tom Brady, or I'm not going to go pitch against Barry Bonds. Like, I guess that's a dated reference, but regardless, those people are retired. Yeah, that's a cool part about cornhole. I mean, you can go in all these places, and then, like you said, Chucky Love, Birchfield, they'll all just come out, they hang out, super cool, down to earth people, and just throw 4-baggers like percent of the time.
Think about what Keith Perry did to Western area cornhole. Like he kind of made like building blocks of advancing the sport. He did the Hollow Cup, the draft. He did he donated a lot of bags and boards and all that kind of stuff. He did cool raffles up at that Hollow Cup. He gave Cornhole Kai, like, not even their name, but made them grow a lot more than they were. They started in 2020 when COVID was out, and now look at them. They pull like 60 some people every single Thursday. It's crazy.
It is wild.
He helped stream High Water's events. He commentated on most of them. Of course, now I think he's doing basketball coaching. I think he stopped to coach basketball for a little bit.
Is that the Speakeasy owner or no?
No, Keith Perry was the ACL pro.
Oh no, I know now. He's the guy that's always traveling on Facebook.
Yeah,
I got you.
Yeah,
I got him now. He's always at the Speak.
Not all.
Maybe the tournaments that I've been at, he's in there. They were bigger.
I don't know if it was Speakeasy. Maybe he was at Speakeasy. I'm not sure.